I'm Pete Vermilyea. We're here today at Bantam Lake for the Litchfield.bz and the hiddeninplainsightblog.com. It's a mid-July day. It's hot and we're going to talk about ice. We're looking at Bantam Lake. We are down on White Memorial property. We're standing on the observation tower. And in the days before refrigerators, people needed ice boxes to preserve their food. And the ice was cut out of lakes. Many people in this area, especially small farmers, had their own ice houses on ponds. But we are on the site of a commercial operation, the Berkshire Ice Company, which began in 1908. And they had a very large ice house, warehouse, behind us, which we'll see in a little bit. To fill that ice house required 40 acres of ice cut a foot thick. These were 300-pound blocks. They were cut out of the lake using a variety of gang saws and even plows that had saws on them to cut through the ice. They cut channels into the lake. They floated those large chunks of ice across the lake onto a ramp out in front of us. These concrete pillars that we're looking at were the supports for a conveyor belt system that took the ice right out of the lake on a ramp and carried it many hundred feet back to the ice house facility. We get a sense from here of how big this operation was. We can look back and see a pretty good shot of the length of how long this conveyor belt was. The conveyor belt rested up on top. There was a wooden platform structure, and you might be able to see the holes in the top of these cement pillars. There was a wooden platform. The conveyor belt was up on top of that, and it ran from the lake back to the ice house. We've moved a few hundred feet to the west, and we have come across this old canal, which is part of the old ice operation. So before the conveyor belt system, the ice harvesters would have taken the ice out of the lake, and using poles and hooks, they would have floated the ice or pushed the ice across this canal back to the ice house. But this was a system that was too inefficient, and that is why they ended up building the conveyor belt system. We've come down off of the Yellow Lake Trail in White Memorial, and we have turned off toward the Litchfield Town Beach, and we have reached the site of the old ice house. The Berkshire Ice Company operation ran from 1908 until 1929, and this ice house was an enormous building, 700 feet long by 125 feet wide. It was divided into 14 separate compartments, double-walled insulation within the walls. The ice would be stacked 30 feet high, packed in sawdust, and they could store up to 56,000 tons of ice here in the ice house. The wholesale ice were cut into 300-pound blocks. Retail ice back then sold in 25, 50, or 100-pound blocks. There was a spur of the Chippewa Railroad that came in. The station, the lake station, was where the shops at the Cove currently are on 202. And the spur ran down from the station to the ice house, split off, and parallel tracks ran on both sides of the ice house, so that those rail cars, up to 20 boxcars a day, could be packed with ice. The ice was taken out of here, and it was shipped down to Bridgeport, to New Haven, and even down to New York City. We are in the driveway of the Litchfield Town Beach off of North Shore Road, and we are looking at some of the remaining structures of the ice house complex. The foreman's house is the white building, and the mechanic shop and garage for the ice house complex is still standing as well. This would have been a busy area for the logistics of the ice house operation. There would have been workers' dorms behind this garage structure, as well as kitchens and other facilities. It was a busy operation. In the mid-1920s, the workers were paid 60 cents an hour, and they worked 7 days a week here at the ice house during the harvesting time. The ice house, the Berkshire Ice Company, sold to another company called the Southern New England Ice Company in the mid-20s. And in 1929, the ice house operation burned down. On August 8th, there was a fire. The ice house itself was destroyed by the fire. The company sustained $350,000 in damages. $200,000 of those damages were in destroyed ice. So that gives you a sense of the scope of the operation, how much ice was in that building. They did not rebuild. This was a time when refrigerators were coming into people's homes, and the ice industry was a dying industry. So the next year, in 1930, the White Memorial Foundation purchased the land from the Southern New England Ice Company, and it has become part of their conservation center.